Have you ever felt that strange feeling that something that is happening now has been experienced before? What if I told you that time travel is not just the stuff of movies, but something that the government has dominated for decades and hides from you? Today, I'm going to show you evidence and disturbing accounts of people who brought objects from centuries ahead and photos from times when they shouldn't even exist. But before we get started, I want to ask you a controversial question that many people are afraid to answer. If time travel is impossible, how do you explain the iPhone that appeared in a 1982 shoot? Or the fact that great tragedies were predicted with surgical precision by anonymous months before they happened? Many people say that these videos are cheap montages to fool fools. Do you think it's all a lie, or is the government really hiding the next step of human evolution? Comment below, I believe, or it's a farce. I want to see who is really paying attention to the details that the world ignores. Stay with me until the end, because the last case of this video will make you question if the person sitting next to you right now on the bus or subway is really who they say they are, or if it came from 2050 just to observe our end. Pegasus Project. During the 1970s, he claims to have participated in a secret program called Project Pegasus, run by government researchers. He was a child participating in DARPA's Project Pegasus, which was the space-time program of the United States at the time of the emergence of different forms of time travel in the United States defense technical community. According to Andrew, these experiments focused on time travel and teleportation of people through space. He says he was sent to different years, different locations, and even to Mars. In July 2009, I found a location in the rural valleys of Mars in a photograph taken by a European Space Agency satellite that shows 9 faces visible from space of different animals and humans, and which are even clearer than the face on Mars in Cydonia. Andrew also talks about seeing famous historical figures and watching great moments happen in real time. Critics question everything, asking for evidence that never appears. Still, his detailed memoirs keep listeners curious, spurring endless discussions about hidden technology, secret programs, and whether time travel already exists today in our modern digital world. The cyborg of the future. Meet Oren, a guy who says he's not fully human anymore. He claims to come from a future where people mix with technology and become part of the machine. We travel back in time, that's true. We went to the future, to 2050, and we saw the apocalypse. Machines will enslave humans. After being your slaves for the last 100-200 years, they will then revolt. This is the artificial intelligence that is sentient. According to him, these updates make time travel possible. Oren explains that his rigid movements and unusual way of speaking come from changes made to his body. He says he was sent back to our time with a warning about future disasters and the need to improve our technology to survive. We are Oren, a collective, cyborg consciousness sent by a higher civilization to warn humans of the coming apocalypse. Real or made up, Oren's story keeps spreading online, adding another strange chapter to the modern conversation about time travel around the world today. The Time Traveler of 2030. The most elusive future citizen on the internet. This masked figure appeared online, with a distorted voice, claiming to be from the year 2030. His predictions were bombastic. Humans on Mars, AI saturating daily life, flying cars as common as sedans. The hook? A video of him taking, and allegedly passing, a polygraph test. This scientific seal sent the theories to the hyperdrive. Critics attacked him, noting that polygraphs measure stress, not truth, and are easily fooled. But the mystery was skillfully crafted. By completely concealing his identity, he created an unfalsifiable puzzle. Was he a rogue genius or a true chrononaut? He never provided concrete evidence and disappeared as planned, leaving behind a perfectly self-contained modern myth. His legacy is not evidence, but a masterclass on how a simple and bold story can captivate millions and keep the what-if of time travel buzzing online. The iPhone 13 in the past. It shows a journalist in 1982 walking through an abandoned building for a report. Everything seems normal, until he reaches a dusty table. Sitting on it is what looks exactly like an iPhone 13. The shape, the camera, even the logo, everything corresponds to today's model. That's what makes it so disturbing. How could a device from the future appear decades earlier? Whether it's a forgotten detail, a strange coincidence, or something much deeper, the footage continues to leave viewers shocked. The Time Soldier. This guy dropped a bombshell. He was a time-traveling soldier from 2036 on a mission to 1975. Their target? A vintage IBM 5100 computer, supposedly vital for fixing future software glitches. But he didn't stop there. His posts were filled with complex physics about his time displacement vehicle. I had facts when I heard other time travelers calling from any time after the year 2500 after Christ, please let me explain, and grim warnings about a fractured America. The details were insane, generating a massive debate. Was he a brilliant brilliant loner with a wild history, or the real one? Forums lit up trying to prove or debunk his claims. Then, as mysteriously as he arrived, he disappeared. No outcome, just a digital ghost. He left behind a perfect, unresolved internet legend.
So, what's your verdict?
A masterful hoax or the most elusive tourist in history? Let me know in the comments. Time travelers in 1928 and 1938. The scene shows workers leaving a factory in Massachusetts, but a woman completely breaks the timeline. She's just wandering around, casually holding a small rectangular object against her ear, and her mouth is moving as if in a conversation. It looks exactly like someone talking on a modern cell phone, but this technology wouldn't exist for more than half a century. Is this a failure in the Matrix? A visitor from our era who took the wrong turn? Skeptics have solid answers. It's probably a portable hearing aid or an old transistor radio held unusually, but the coincidence is eerily strange. That's why those few sprinkle seconds remain iconic. It's a visual conundrum that makes you wonder for a second if weather tourists are walking among us. What do you think she's really holding? Leave your theories below.
Time travel claims.
Claim of the Pegasus Project. I think the first thing we should distinguish for today's presentation is that Project Pegasus, under the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, was the space-time program of the United States at the time of its emergence in the mid to late 1960s. Project Pegasus is one of those stories that refuses to disappear. Andrew D. Biago claims that during the late 1960s and early 1970s, the United States government secretly administered a program that allowed children to travel back in time using advanced technology. According to him, this was not science fiction, it was an experiment. He says he personally jumped to past events, including moments involving famous historical figures. Biago even claims that there are photos proving his presence at these events, hidden in plain sight. Critics are quick to point out that no official records support the project, and the photos are vague at best. Still, the story spreads because it connects time travel to real institutions and real years. It feels structured, planned, and oddly specific. Even if you don't believe it, Project Pegasus fits into that strange space where conspiracy, memory, and imagination blend into something that's hard to completely dismiss. The time-traveling hipster. This photo never gets old, and every time it resurfaces, people stop. The image is from 1941 in Vancouver, showing a crowd dressed exactly as one would expect for that time. Long coats, hats, serious expressions.
Then, there's him.
The so-called time-traveling hipster stands out with modern-looking sunglasses, a patterned t-shirt, and a relaxed posture that looks out of place. The internet quickly jumped to an idea: time travel. Some zoom in, pointing to the camera he is holding. Others focus on their clothes, saying they didn't exist back then. Historians later argue that whatever he was wearing existed in some form, it was just rare. But here's why it still persists. Nothing in the photo completely settles the debate. No name, no explanation, just a man frozen in time who seems to know something we don't. And this mystery is exactly why people keep coming back to it. The Strange Man and the Mysterious Rescue. A man was standing near a busy road, unaware of what was about to happen. Suddenly, a stranger ran, touched his shoulder, and pulled him back just before a speeding vehicle passed by. The moment was captured on camera and shocked viewers. What made it stranger was what happened next. The man who saved him disappeared into the crowd within seconds. No one could find him. Some now believe it wasn't luck, but someone who knew exactly what was coming and arrived just in time. Oh, terrifying time jump.
Sir Victor Goddard.
A time jump story so chilling it's terrifying. No machine, no vortex, just a pilot, bad Scottish weather, and a view that didn't belong. In 1935, RAF Marshal Sir Victor Goddard flies past an abandoned airfield.
A storm hits.
Suddenly, the clouds part. Below it, not a ruin, but a fully operational base. The track is fixed. 4 unknown monoplanes are there, painted in a bizarre, non-military yellow.
He takes notes. Years pass. World War II begins.
The same airfield was rebuilt for training. The aircraft sent there, the exact type of monoplane he saw, all painted bright yellow. This is not pulp fiction. This is the official report of a decorated officer, filed before the war. No drama, just a calm and credible witness recounting a moment when 2 timelines briefly touched.
Scary, right? The homemade time machine.
Mike Markham's story comes straight from the history of late-night radio. In the 1990s, he calls the popular show Coast to Coast AM and casually claims that he built a time machine using old electrical equipment and appliances. It doesn't sound theatrical, just confident. He talks about experimenting with high-voltage settings and insinuates that the results aren't what anyone expects. After these calls, Markham suddenly disappears from public discussion, which only adds fuel to the mystery. Later records show that he had legal troubles involving stolen electrical parts, but nothing explains why he stopped talking altogether. It's not flashy, but it's one of those stories that feels unfinished, like a chapter missing its ending. The Man of 1958 in 2006. Sergei Ponomarenko. This 2006 story from Ukraine is straight out of a movie. A man appears in Kiev disoriented, dressed in the perfect style of the 1950s. He is Sergei Ponomarenko, claiming that it is 1958. It carries an identity of the time and, crucially, an old camera. When developed, his film shows authentic scenes from historic Kiev. The scary piece? A photo of a woman he calls his fiancée. Later, an elderly lady appears, with a striking resemblance, confirming that she knew a Sergei who disappeared in the 50s. After medical examinations, this mysterious man disappears from a locked room. The lack of solid police reports screams media hoax to skeptics, but the human element, the lost love, the profound displacement is why this story endures. It's not about physics, it's about a heart stuck in time. The Time Leap at Versailles. Charlotte and Moberly. Let's talk about the most elegant and scary time jump ever recorded. The Adventure of 1901. Two academics, Charlotte Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain, are strolling through the gardens of Versailles. Suddenly, the atmosphere changes. The landscape looks strange. They catch glimpses of people dressed in impeccable 18th century costumes, courtiers, a woman drawing. An overwhelming dread envelopes them. Later, the research convinces them that they had witnessed the Queen's entourage in 1789, even identifying the draftsman as Marie Antoinette. His published account is fascinating precisely because of its credibility. They were not fabulists. This triggers the very concept of a time jump, a brief and involuntary journey into the past. Skeptics cite suggestibility or a shared reverie. However, the visceral discomfort they reported makes this a pillar of temporal tradition, a momentary frightening step through the curtain of time. Montauk Project. Get ready for a story that unites two of the greatest government conspiracy legends of all time. The man was Al Bielek, and his story is a wild journey. He claimed to be a sailor aboard the USS Eldridge during the infamous Philadelphia experiment in 1943. According to him, the ship not only became invisible, but teleported. He claimed that all of this connected to the later Montauk Project, claiming that it was a continuation of these space-time experiments. Bielek has spent decades giving detailed and chilling talks, weaving these myths into a single epic saga. Although officially debunked, his synthesis of these stories created an undeniable and complicated tradition that still captivates fans of the paranormal today. The CIA's Time Traveler. This photo was the city I was walking in. I'll never forget when I took that picture. Alexander Smith has one of the strangest stories in time travel circles. He said he used to work for the CIA and told a calm, detailed story about a secret mission in the 1980s that sent him more than a century into the future, to the year 2118. He showed a blurry photo of a city with tall, glowing towers and flying vehicles. He described a world ruled by artificial intelligence and claimed that the US government had perfected time travel by choosing him as an agent. Her calm manner of telling the story made her believable to some. Of course, skeptics pointed out that the photo was unclear and could not be verified. Still, his story spread quickly online, especially on forums and on YouTube, fueling people's fascination with secret government programs and possible glimpses of the future. The Alien Messenger of 2048. Imagine a quiet street getting weird. In 2017, police officers in Casper, Wyoming, stopped a man who was pacing as if he knew something no one else did. He introduced himself as Bryant Johnson and calmly said he was visiting from the year 2048. According to him, his mission was simple but daunting: to warn people that aliens were on their way. He claimed that a time machine sent him back, but something went wrong and left him years earlier. To make things wilder, he asked the police to contact the mayor as if it were an official mission. The cops thought he was confused, but the internet thought otherwise. No proof has surfaced, but his words still echo, leaving viewers wondering what if he wasn't lying after all. The urban legend of the time traveler. Imagine walking through Times Square and seeing someone who clearly doesn't belong there. This story focuses on Rudolph Fentz, a man who is said to have appeared in New York in 1951, wearing 19th century clothing, and moments later, he was hit by a car. Police allegedly found strange items on it, such as very old coins and a letter dated 1876. The story goes that records showed that a man with the same name disappeared that exact year. Sounds convincing, right? Here's the twist that most people miss. Further research showed that the whole case came from a fictional short story written by Jack Finney. It was never real. Even so, the legend refuses to fade away and still appears whenever time travel stories dominate the internet and keep viewers questioning reality. The Trader of the Future. In 2003, the stock market received a visitor that no one expected. Andrew Carlson, an unusually calm man, reportedly turned just $800 into a staggering $350 million in just 2 weeks, all picking stocks perfectly. Naturally, the experts were perplexed. When asked how, he didn't go around. He said it came from the year 2025 to 26. According to him, he already knew the market because he had studied it in his own time. Word spread quickly, and before long, government agents reportedly got involved. Carlson even offered to share secrets from the future if they let him go.
But then, he disappeared. Completely. No arrests, no accompaniment, nothing.
Today, his story lives on as one of the wildest time travel claims ever told. Real or elaborate hoax, it still makes people stop and wonder what is possible.
TikTok's time traveler.
A guy named Jim has made headlines online saying he can travel back in time, posting TikToks that take viewers back to 1998 and even 1984. In his clips, he wanders through what he calls a pizzeria of the past, pointing out details that make it feel like you've stepped into another decade. From retro ads to old-school interiors, the vibe is completely nostalgic. People can't stop watching, trying to find little clues that prove or disprove their story. Whether Jim is a true time traveler or a masterful content creator, his videos have sparked endless debates, keeping viewers glued to their screens, questioning reality and the past.
Consciousness in the future. Paul Dianuk.
Long before the internet loved mysteries, a quiet professor named Paul Dianuk shared a story that surprised everyone. In the 1920s, he became seriously ill and fell into a deep coma for months. When he finally woke up, he claimed that his consciousness had moved to someone else living in the year 3906. According to him, the future seemed calm, organized, and driven by advanced tools. People lived together peacefully, without constant conflict. Paul carefully wrote down everything he remembered in a notebook, never planning to show it. Years later, these writings were published and caught the public's attention. Some readers felt inspired, others called it imagination. Paul himself avoided fame and kept a low profile. Still, his calm descriptions continue to draw people in, leaving a question behind. That mystery still follows its name today. The science of time control. Not every time travel story comes from a wild witness on the street. Dr. David Lewis Anderson was a physicist who spoke about time in a much calmer manner. He founded the Anderson Institute to study how time could be controlled using science. According to him, time is not just an idea, but something that could be shaped. He talked about creating special fields that could push objects forward or backward in time. In lectures and writings, David explained that these ideas follow real scientific rules, even if they seem unrealistic. He also warned that the use of time control would raise serious questions about fairness and accountability. Some listeners were excited, others skeptical. Even so, his work generated long debates online and offline. Whether his ideas will come true or not, they have pushed people to think more deeply about their own time and humanity. The hyperdimensional resonator. Some inventors don't wait for labs or funding. Stephen Gibbs said he built a strange machine called a hyperdimensional resonator, or HDR, inside his barn. He claimed that this device used energy fields to move people through time. According to Gibbs, users could enter the past or jump into the future. Gibbs shared wild stories about users meeting famous figures and seeing historical moments firsthand. Of course, many people doubted everything he said. Whether a real invention or clever tale, Gibbs helped shape the mystery surrounding homemade time machines and why people continue to hope that time can be controlled someday.
The vision of the future.
In 1932, journalist J. Bernard Hutton visited a shipyard in Hamburg with a photographer, without expecting anything special. Suddenly, the sky filled with planes. Explosions fell, and fires lit up the area as a war zone. Shocked, they rushed to tell the others what they had seen.
The weird part?
No one else noticed anything wrong. Hamburg seemed peaceful and unspoiled. Years later, during World War II, the city was bombed in 1943 in an almost identical way. 11 years separated the vision from the actual attack. Hutton never said he traveled back in time. He believed that he had somehow witnessed a moment that had not yet happened. Even today, this story makes people uneasy, wondering how anyone could see the future without trying somehow. After everything we've seen today, from lawyers who claim to have gone to Mars to time travelers caught on security cameras decades ago, one question remains: is our current science just the tip of the iceberg? Some say these reports are just camera errors or creative minds seeking attention. But as we saw in the case of Sir Victor Goddard or John Titor's IBM computer, there are technical details and predictions that simply shouldn't be there. If only 1% of these stories are real, then our entire understanding of life and the universe is wrong. Perhaps time is not a straight line, but an ocean where, sometimes, the waves of the future break on the beach of the present. What about you? If you could travel to any year right now, would you go to the past to correct a mistake or to the future to see how the world ends? Leave your answer here in the comments. I'll read and answer the most intriguing ones. Don't forget to leave your like if this video made you question reality, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next mysteries. Because the truth may be right in front of you, you just need to know where to look. See you in the next video, or perhaps in another time.